What can $500 buy in America today? Half a month's rent, 2 trips to the grocery store, or an electricity bill that makes you sigh. But in some places around the world, $500 can still buy a real acre of land, with title, legal, and waiting for the first person brave enough to step forward. It's not a fairy tale. It's not a risky investment. It's simply land that time seems to have forgotten to make expensive, where you can live an entire month on less than $500 and buy 100 acres for the price of a small room in Los Angeles. But this opportunity is slipping away fast. Governments have started to gradually close their markets to foreigners. And perhaps this is the last year when $500 an acre is still true. The question is, if you knew there was a place on Earth selling freedom for the price of a phone, would you dare to buy it? Dream it. Pack it. Go. Paraguay, the land that still holds freedom. Last year, an American man named John Miller, 62, sold his small house in Texas, took his lifelong savings of $30,000, and left the United States. He flew to a place most of his friends had never even heard of, Paraguay, in the heart of South America. Today, John lives in a wooden house he built himself, surrounded by golden fields stretching all the way to the horizon, on land he bought for just $500 an acre. Many people think he's crazy, but in truth, he was simply searching for something America had taken away long ago: freedom. Paraguay is where time seems to move slower. In the Gran Chaco region, the soil burns red, dry winds sweep across wild grasslands, and the horizon has no end. You can drive for hours and only see a few herds of cattle and scattered small huts, but don't let the desolate beauty fool you. Because this very place is quietly attracting a wave of foreigners leaving the West to start over, at prices almost too cheap to believe. Here, foreigners can own land 100% as freehold, something extremely rare in South America. No need for a local company. No need for citizenship. Just avoid areas within 50 kilometers of the border, and the rest you can buy, sell, build, or start a farm as freely as any local. The Paraguayan government is also open to foreigners. With proof of stable income or a $5,000 deposit, you can apply for permanent residency. After 3 years, you become eligible to apply for Paraguayan citizenship, and this passport allows visa-free travel to more than 140 countries, including most of Europe. In terms of taxation, it's one of the most relaxed systems in the world. Foreign income is not taxed. There is no property tax, no inheritance tax, no capital gains tax, and the VAT is only 10%. That's why many people call Paraguay the last tax haven of South America. But what surprises people the most isn't the taxes. It's the unbelievably low cost of living. A single person can live comfortably on just $550–600 per month. A wooden house in the countryside costs around $180. Fresh food about $150, utilities and internet around $100, and private health insurance only $60–90. With the amount that would only pay an electricity bill in the US, you can live an entire month here, eating grilled beef asado, cornbread sopa paraguaya, sipping morning coffee, and listening to the wind sweep across the fields. Paraguayan people are friendly, gentle, and so hospitable that you might be invited into someone's home just to share a cold glass of tereré. No noise, no rush, no showiness. Here, people believe in work, land, and family. You can stroll through a morning market, buy a basket full of mangoes and pineapples for just a few dollars, or strike up a conversation with a farmer using only a smile instead of words. There's no feeling of strangeness, only a sense of peace that the modern world has long lost. Healthcare in Paraguay is better than most people think. Private hospitals in Asunción, Villarrica, and Encarnación have English-speaking doctors, clean facilities, and modern equipment. A single consultation costs only $20–40, while dental work or minor treatments range within a few dozen. Comprehensive private health insurance costs just $60–90 per month, allowing you to live long-term with peace of mind and no financial worries. In particular, Paraguay is one of the safest countries in South America. Crime rates are low, guns are rare, police are friendly, and the government is stable. Many foreigners say they can still leave their cars unlocked in front of their homes without concern. Economically, Paraguay is known as the quiet Switzerland of South America. Not flashy, but steady and resilient. The Guarani currency is more stable than Brazil's real. GDP grows by 4–5% annually, and the country is one of the world's leading exporters of clean electricity thanks to the Itaipu Dam, one of the largest engineering projects on the planet. As a result, electricity prices are extremely low, helping both residents and investors significantly reduce living costs. But even paradise has its shadows. The Gran Chaco, though beautiful, can be harsh. During the rainy season, roads turn to mud. In the dry season, red dust fills the air. In the cheapest land areas, only about 19% of people have access to clean water, while the rest rely on wells and pit latrines. Public services are still weak, public health care is under-resourced, and deforestation for agricultural expansion has placed Paraguay among high environmental risk regions. If you buy newly cleared land, you may face difficulties getting loans or international environmental certifications. That's why smart investors often choose old or regenerated land, or shift toward green agriculture, regenerative farming, to both protect the environment and preserve asset value. In Paraguay, you can't just buy land and leave it there. You have to build your own infrastructure, drill a well, install solar power, build a water tank, set up fencing, and handle your own security. But in return, you get absolute freedom. No one interferes, no one forces you to pay unreasonable taxes, and no one tells you how to live. Every morning, you breathe in the scent of dry earth, sip a cup of mate tea, listen to the distant sound of cattle, and you realize you're truly alive. $500 in America only buys a few bills. But in Paraguay, $500 buys you an acre of land and an entirely new beginning. A place without car horns, without deadlines, only blue skies, red soil, and people who live slowly, kindly, and freely. If you believe true happiness doesn't come from how much money you make, but from living somewhere you can be yourself, amidst a world where prices keep rising every day, Paraguay still keeps a place for you. If you believe freedom doesn't have to be expensive, this is where it begins. List every place you want to go, and don't forget to like and subscribe. 4. Bolivia, the highland where even money likes to retire. If there's a place where a $50 bill can sigh in relief and say, "Finally, I can live," it's Bolivia, the highland of thin air and thick joy. Start in Sucre, the white city, red-tiled roofs, balconies casting cinematic shadows. Here, $50 a week is enough to live like a humble philosopher. Morning coffee, a full lunch, an afternoon watching clouds change colors, evening chats with neighbors, and still have enough left for an avocado the size of your fist. Rent for a bright apartment with a balcony overlooking the old town is about $110–140 per month. A menu del dia meal, soup, main course, dessert, costs around $2. Going to the market for bananas, purple potatoes, and fried pastries feels like a silent movie. You speak Spanish like a rap, they smile kindly, correct your pronunciation, and throw in an extra egg because you're cute. What keeps foreigners staying isn't just the price. In many areas, foreigners can hold freehold ownership with a simple rule: avoid the 50-kilometer border zone. Property taxes are low, roughly 0.3–0.9% per year depending on the location. Foreign-sourced income isn't taxed, and local-style living costs range around $330–450 per month for one person. Private healthcare in centers like Santa Cruz and La Paz is well-trained. A specialist visit costs $20–30, and international insurance is widely accepted. In ordinary neighborhoods, using basic survival common sense, don't flash your wallet, don't wander empty streets late at night. The overall feeling is of safety and ease, far more peaceful than many of the region's bustling cities. Bolivia seems deliberately slow. People greet each other calmly, handle things with a smile, and live as if the clock only runs when the sun nods. You'll get used to the mañana rhythm. Everything can wait until tomorrow. The internet sometimes dances like disco, and bureaucracy might need one more stamp and 2 cups of patience. Regarding visas, depending on your nationality, you usually get 30–90 days as a tourist. To stay longer, the realistic path is applying for temporary residency based on stable income or valid investment. And this is where a good local lawyer is worth more than a suitcase full of online hacks. The Highlands are also honest about their price. The legal environment can be unpredictable at times, and policies occasionally change tempo. The Santa Cruz region is breathtakingly beautiful, but faces pressure from deforestation and gold mining, so large projects often raise ESG concerns. The advice from those in the field: choose previously cultivated land instead of virgin forest. Focus on regenerative agriculture. Secure clean water systems. Set up solar energy. And plan your supply chain before dreaming of expansion. The drawbacks are best told as stories rather than checklists. One man spent 3 weeks getting a permit to build a chicken coop, but gained 3 new customers simply because he was patient and offered the clerk a bag of warm salteña pastries. And then you'll understand why many say, in Bolivia, money doesn't make you rich. Time and peace do. You sit in Sucre's square, hear the church bells ring like drops of honey. The wind brushes through the tiles. Sunlight rests on whitewashed walls. A black coffee in your hand. A day that drifts slowly, yet feels complete. In America, $2,000 buy pressure. Here, sometimes $450 buy breathing space. You don't need luxury, just a heartbeat and a smile. If you believe that wealth is having more peace, let this story open a thought. Maybe this highland is where your money retires before you do. If you resonate with the feeling of living slowly yet fully, comment, "I choose Bolivia." Hit like and subscribe, because next time, we're heading somewhere new, where $500 not only buys land, but a sky full of freedom. 3. Tanzania, where the earth is still wild, and dreams are still affordable. Tanzania. The name itself sounds like the wind sweeping through the savannah, slow, warm, and endless. Here, land still costs around $500 an acre, and you can buy an entire valley for the price of a used car in America. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's the reality unfolding in the Ruvuma region of southern Tanzania, where the sun rises over a sea of grass and the horizon stretches forever. Tanzania is the kind of country that makes you look twice at the map to believe it exists. A nation with the snow-capped peak of Mount Kilimanjaro, the turquoise beaches of Zanzibar, and in between, vast, fertile lands still untouched. People call it Africa's forgotten golden land, where nature remains pure and humans still live by the rhythm of their hearts instead of the ticking of a clock. What makes Tanzania special lies in its unique land policy. Foreigners cannot own land permanently, freehold, but they can lease it for up to 99 years through the Tanzania Investment Center, TIC. This system is called a derivative right, meaning you don't own the land forever, but you have the right to use, build, and develop it as if it were yours for nearly a century. And with land prices unbelievably low, some areas just $400, $600 per acre, many see it as a lease to paradise. However, leasing land in Tanzania isn't like renting an apartment in New York. You don't just sign a contract. You go to the village, meet the council chief, drink tea with them, and sometimes sing a song. Locals believe a piece of land belongs only to those who respect it. Perhaps that's why many investors joke, "In Tanzania, you don't buy land, you marry it." The cost of living here is another kind of miracle. A person can live comfortably on just $450, $500 USD per month. Renting a house in the suburbs of Dar es Salaam costs around $200 USD. A traditional meal of ugali na nyama choma, corn porridge and grilled meat, is only $1-2 USD. And Tanzanian coffee, the richest and most aromatic in East Africa, is just 50 cents a cup. The internet is stable, electricity is cheap, and the people are so friendly they'll stop their motorbikes in the middle of the road just to show you where the nearest market is. In terms of healthcare, Tanzania has both public and private systems. In cities like Arusha, Dar es Salaam, or Mbeya, private hospitals such as Aga Khan Hospital and Regency Medical Center meet international standards, with specialist consultations costing only $30-40 USD per visit. International insurance is widely accepted, and many doctors have trained in the UK or India. If you live in remote areas like Ruvuma, it's best to get insurance with medevac coverage, because sometimes you may need to fly to a bigger city for treatment. Economically, Tanzania is like a sleeping giant, rich in resources, vast in land, and young in population. The government is promoting agriculture and clean energy while keeping taxes low to attract investment. For foreigners living off pensions or online income, Tanzania does not tax foreign-sourced earnings, meaning you can enjoy the warm climate while keeping your money intact. But, and there's always a but, in Tanzania, everything moves slowly. A road may take a month to be repaired, and paperwork for a land lease might need 5 signatures and 10 stamps. And if you're used to German-style precision, this place might just drive you crazy. Locals jokingly call this slowness Tanzanian time. Time here doesn't follow calendars, but the sun. Another risk is the unpredictability of policy changes. There was once a proposal to shorten lease terms from 99 years to 33, which worried many investors. Therefore, before signing any agreement, you need a local lawyer and direct confirmation from the TIC. But if you can overcome that administrative hurdle, you'll be standing on land that could generate profit within the next 5 to 10 years, as demand for agriculture, ecotourism, and farm stays in East Africa is rapidly rising. Tanzania is not for the faint of heart. It's for those who want to leave behind the noise, live authentically with nature, and accept that a beautiful day here might begin with a herd of cows blocking your path. But when the sun sets behind Mount Kilimanjaro, and the wind carries the scent of dry grass mixed with sea salt from afar, you'll understand why people say, in Tanzania, freedom doesn't need paperwork. Because $500 here doesn't just buy you an acre of land. It buys you a slower rhythm, a deeper breath, and a reason to smile every morning. If you believe freedom doesn't have to be expensive, comment, "I choose Tanzania." And don't forget to like and subscribe. because the next video will take you to a land where $500 isn't just a price. It's the beginning of an entirely new life. 2. Argentina, where land is still $500 an acre. In the vast heart of South America, there's a place where $500 isn't just money. It's a real opportunity. Santiago del Estero, the ancient rural region of Argentina, still has vast tracts of land, hundreds of acres wide, selling for around $500 per acre. Here the grass grows taller than a person, the sky stretches endlessly, and you can buy an entirely new life for the price of a phone in America. Argentina allows foreigners to fully own land, freehold, as long as it's outside border zones and within the national limit of 5 to 10% of total land area. With clear legal frameworks and fertile soil, this place quietly attracts those who understand that opportunity doesn't live in cities, but in the lands people haven't yet named. In Santiago del Estero, land is so cheap many refuse to believe it. Just $25,000 can buy you a 50-acre farm, enough to grow beans, raise cattle, or build an eco-lodge. And what makes Argentina even more special is that every other expense is just as low. A single person can live well on $600–800 a month, rent for $200, and a hearty asado with Malbec wine for only $3 a meal. Even though the peso keeps losing value, life here remains full of vitality. Argentinians love their land, embrace the slow rhythm of living, and no matter how unstable the economy becomes, they hold on to what matters most: their spirit of freedom. You can sit in a small cafe with a 50-cent cup of hot coffee and listen to people debate football as if it were philosophy. In terms of healthcare, Argentina is one of the few countries in South America that provides free public medical care, even for foreigners. Many doctors are trained in Europe, and private consultations cost only $20–30 per visit. Property tax is about 1% per year, and tax on foreign income is almost negligible. Of course, no paradise is perfect. Here, paperwork is slow, prices fluctuate, and sometimes you simply have to learn how to live with uncertainty. But that's also why land remains cheap. Those who dare to go first will be the ones to taste the sweetest fruit. When the world begins to look toward South America as the new frontier for green investment and regenerative agriculture. In America, $500 only buys you a bill, but in Argentina, $500 buys you land and the feeling of being alive again. If you believe real opportunity lies where no one's looking yet, comment, "I choose Argentina." 1. Zambia, where $500 buys land and a whole new beginning. If there's a place on earth where time still moves slow enough for you to hear the wind whisper through the fields, it's Zambia. A country in the heart of Africa, where cornfields stretch to the horizon, and land is still being offered at an unbelievable price, about $500 per acre. In the Central and Copperbelt provinces, vast tracts of hundreds of acres are available for long-term lease, with usage rights extending up to 99 years. Here, you don't buy land in the usual sense. You lease a piece of paradise. The Zambian government retains ownership of all national land, but allows foreigners and investors to lease long-term through the state leasehold system, and you can transfer, inherit, or mortgage these lease rights as if they were real property. The average price of agricultural land in Zambia is almost absurdly cheap. Only $400–600 per acre, about 20 times cheaper than land in Texas. Those who dare to venture beyond Lusaka are buying entire riverfront properties, growing coffee, mangoes, or setting up small eco-lodges, places where you wake up to birdsong in the morning and watch the fiery red sunset behind acacia trees in the evening. The cost of living in Zambia is so low, it shocks many people. A spacious rural house rents for just 150, 250 USD per month. Utilities are under $50, and fresh food is practically free. A person can live comfortably on 450, 550 USD per month, covering all basic expenses. Zambia is considered one of the most stable and friendly countries in East and Southern Africa. No wars, no unrest, and people are so welcoming it feels almost unreal. You can stroll through the markets of Kabwe or Ndola and hear nothing but laughter, not car horns. English is the official language, making it easy for foreigners to adapt and communicate. In terms of healthcare, major cities have private hospitals such as Medland Hospital in Lusaka, which meet regional standards. A private consultation costs 20-40 USD per visit, and international insurance is accepted. In remote areas, public healthcare services are still limited, but thanks to the low cost of living, you can easily maintain global health insurance or opt for private care packages. Of course, Zambia is still frontier land, and frontiers always come with challenges. Infrastructure is weak, roads are dirt, bridges are wooden, and during the rainy season, entire villages can be cut off. The government once proposed reducing land lease terms from 99 years to 25, causing concern among investors. But for those with long-term vision and a clear understanding of the law, that risk becomes opportunity. Where others fear, you can buy the future, cheaper than anywhere else. If you believe that freedom isn't a privilege, but a choice, then here, every acre of land carries a message. There's still time to start over. If you've ever dreamed of living close to nature, owning your days, Zambia is waiting. Like and subscribe. In America, $500 is just a small number on a bill. But elsewhere, it can be an entirely new beginning. A piece of land, a small home, a morning free from debt and worry. These lands are not for the hesitant, because once the world realizes they exist, they'll disappear. Not everyone has the courage to leave, but those who do will understand that freedom was never expensive. We just arrived too late. So before $500 an acre becomes a story of the past, ask yourself, will you keep paying rent or buy yourself a whole new life?